Good morning, students. Today, our topic is unicellular organisms, and then after that, we will have an insight into multicellular organisms. Okay, the word in itself says the unicellular organisms. Uni means one. That means these organisms are made up of only one cell. Okay, we will take an example of here as मैंने अभी diagram बनाया है amoeba का, ठीक है? This is a unicellular organism. In all unicellular organisms, which are actually made up of single cell, constitutes different structures inside the cytoplasm of the cell. These structures are called organelles. Okay, like here in case of amoeba, we have vacuoles, we have Golgi body, we have nucleus, we have ribosomes, we have mitochondria. There's a cell membrane which envelops this all the organelles and keeps them intact inside the cell. So all these organelles perform different functions and carry out the biological activities for the cell. Okay, so here we'll see now one by one about these organelles. What are their functions usually? Okay, first we'll see about mitochondria. Mitochondria helps in respiration and synthesis of, not synthesis, we will not say synthesis, rather production of ATP. Okay, so what is ATP required for? This is required for energy. Okay, that means the energy for performing the life activities in the cell comes from ATP, and this ATP is generated or produced in mitochondria. Number two, we can say vacuoles. Vacuoles helps in digestion of food. Okay. Third, we'll come to Golgi body. Golgi body, what it does is that it repacks and reassembles proteins and lipids to be used in like for example cell membrane, the replacement in cell membrane, like certain proteins gets disintegrated sometimes and they needs to be replaced, and those proteins are replaced, and proteins and lipids are replaced by those proteins which are produced by ribosomes and then repacked by Golgi bodies. These once these are repacked and reassembled by Golgi bodies, these proteins and lipids, they get stored in vacuoles. Okay, certain vacuoles, and then gets transported to their destination, like here in the case of amoeba, to the surface like cell membrane. Okay, because the cell membrane in unicellular organisms as well as in multicellular organisms is made up of lipids and proteins. Okay, so later in this chapter or in another chapter we'll learn about the structure of the cell, where we learn about the structure of the cell membrane. Okay, there are certain models of cell membrane given by different scientists, so we will explain that time about that in detail. Here we are understanding that what is the function of Golgi body, mitochondria, vacuoles, and then ribosomes. Ribosomes help in synthesis of proteins. Okay, so how are these how do these ribosomes synthesize proteins? Which type of proteins are synthesized by these ribosomes? Okay, what is the process involved in the synthesis of these proteins? You must be knowing that proteins are always come from RNA. Okay, proteins come from RNA, and this RNA comes from DNA. That means the DNA present in the nucleus here, okay, gives information about the protein which is to be formed. Okay, by ribosomes. By ribosomes. So the information about a particular type of protein, which type of protein is to be synthesized, is given by DNA present in the nucleus. The DNA gives the information to RNA, and this process is called transcription. Transcription. When this information from DNA is transferred to RNA, and RNA transfers it or translates this information into proteins, it's called translation. It's called translation. So this whole process, transcription and translation, happens in ribosomes. Okay, so certain proteins are formed or synthesized in ribosomes. So different organelles in the cell perform different functions for the cell. This is a single cell, and these organelles perform different life activities or biological activities for this particular cell in order to keep it alive. Once this single cell dies, the whole organism cell dies, because there is no other cell involved in this. I hope you have noted this down. I'll rub it, I'll erase it, and I'll give you more information about it. So here we have understood about a unicellular organism, which is having different structures or organelles inside the cell, which perform different functions, biological functions or activities for the life of for sustaining the life of the cell. Here in this unicellular organism, we have a concept called surface area to volume ratio. This surface area to volume ratio for a cell is very important for maintaining its size. That means there is a volume of the cell. Like you know that inside the cell there is a cytoplasm, which is a semi-fluid matrix. Okay, semi-fluid matrix. Once the fluid comes in, that we call it volume. There is a space inside where this semi-fluid matrix is filled in. That space has a certain volume. Okay, so this volume is relating to that volume. Okay, and the surface area means the area of the surface which is covering this cell. So this surface area and volume ratio is very essential for proper functioning of the cell. If this surface area and volume gets increased or decreased with certain factors, okay, like there are two factors involved. Number one, availability of nutrients and oxygen concentration. Okay, this availability of nutrients and oxygen concentration affects the surface area or volume of a cell, and in turn affects the size of the cell. Size of a cell. We will take here an example of bread mold. You know the bread mold, when it's in an environment where proper food or nutrients are absent, it's not having so much of food that it can have it. In absence of nutrients, proper nutrients, its size remains, you can say, stable. Okay, and once the nutrients come in the environment where it is present, it takes up those nutrients and can grow in its size to several meters. इसका मतलब ये है, जब ये किसी ब्रेड मोल्ड किसी एनवायरनमेंट में प्रेजेंट होता है जहां पे न्यूट्रिएंट्स प्रेजेंट ना हो, वहां पे इसका साइज एक ऑप्टिमल साइज रहता है. जब ये उस एनवायरनमेंट में आता है जहां पे फूड अच्छी क्वांटिटी में मिलता है इसको, तो ये उस फूड को एब्जॉर्ब कर लेता है एंड अपना साइज बढ़ा लेता है, साइज इसका बढ़ जाता है. दैट मीन्स जब इसका साइज बढ़ जाता है टू सेवरल मीटर्स, इसका जो वॉल्यूम है वो इंक्रीज हो जाता है, वॉल्यूम इंक्रीज हो जाता है और इसका जो सरफेस एरिया है वो डिक्रीज हो जाता है। ये हमेशा याद रखो, जब भी किसी सेल का वॉल्यूम बढ़ जाता है तो उसका सरफेस एरिया छोटा हो जाता है। वो सरफेस एरिया छोटा होना इस सेल के लिए अच्छा नहीं होता है। सो इट ऑलवेज ट्राइज टू डाइजेस्ट दैट फूड व्हाटएवर द रीजन इज, because of which its size volume has increased. It tries to digest that as quickly as possible and comes back to its normal size in order to remain sustained. So the surface area and volume ratio, which in turn you can say affects the size of the cell, is affected by two factors. Number one factor is availability of nutrients and oxygen concentration. Number two is genetic factor. Genetic factor. Here I will erase this one. We'll come to genetic factor. Okay. For genetic factor, we'll take an example of agave plant. Okay. This agave plant has its leaves which are having two types of cells. Two types of cells. Certain cells have you can say fiber-like structure, fiber-like, yeah, have not, will not say have, behave like fibers. Okay, certain cells in the leaf of a developing agave plant behave like fibers, and certain cells in the same leaf have capacity to do photosynthesis. Okay, these fibers do not do photosynthesis, fiber cells, but the other cells which are normal do photosynthesis. That means there are genetic factors, there are genes, different genes responsible for behaving like a fiber and behaving like a photosynthetic cell. Okay, that means this agave plant is having two types of genes in the same leaf. Okay, that means there are these fibers are of different shape, these fibrous cells, and these photosynthetic cells are of different shape and size. Okay, so the shape and size and the volume to surface area of a particular cell depends on two factors. Number one, nutrients, availability of nutrients and oxygen concentration, and genetic makeup. Okay, here we have got this. Now we will have an insight into multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms. Okay, beta? About multicellular organism, we know the multi means many. That means these organisms are made up of many cells. Here we'll say not many, but we'll say large number of cells. Large number of cells. In multicellular organisms, when we know that they are made up of large number of cells, in large number of cells को क्या किया है नेचर ने? इनको नेचर ने डिफरेंशिएट किया है. क्या किया है? डिफरेंशिएट. Differentiate for performing specialized functions. Specialized functions. I hope you got it. Differentiation का मतलब होता है इनको डिवाइड करना into different shapes and size and to perform specialized functions. खास functions. एक टाइप ऑफ सेल को एक ही खास फंक्शन दी गई है. जैसे कि यूनिसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिजम्स में क्या था? यूनिसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिज्म में एक ही सेल को सारे फंक्शन करने थे. जैसे उसको रेस्पायर भी करना था, ठीक है, रेस्पायर भी करना था, रिप्रोड्यूस भी करना था, ठीक है, उसको डिफरेंट अदर फंक्शंस भी करने थे. यहां पे क्या है? इन मल्टीसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिजम्स दे आर हैविंग different cells to perform, different group of cells, different group of cells having same structure and function to do specialized functions. जैसे हम एग्जांपल लेंगे यहाँ पे कार्डियक सेल, ठीक है. कार्डियक सेल का काम क्या है? यहाँ पे सिर्फ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एंड रिलैक्स करना, to do pumping of blood, pumping of, ठीक है. So the cardiac cells in a multicellular organism only do pumping of blood. That means they pump blood from different parts of the body to the heart and then pump blood to different parts of the body from heart. Okay, so this is only specialized function for these cardiac cells. Like another example is nervous cell. Nervous cell or neuron. We call nerve cell as nerve cell, not nervous cell, nerve cell. Okay, nerve cells or neuron. Neurons, what do? They transmit impulse. They transmit information carried from one part of body to another part of body. Like most of the cases, if we pinch a part of our body here, we feel some pain. This pain is felt by the nervous impulse which is carried from this part of body to the brain. Okay, and then brain identifies that somebody has pinched. There gets developed some pain, due to which we are able to understand that somebody has pinched it. Okay, so different cells have different specialized functions. ऐसा क्यों किया गया है? ताकि ये जो ऑर्गेनिज्म है, ये बहुत बड़ा ऑर्गेनिज्म होता है साइज में, इसको एफिशिएंसी चाहिए होती है, ये एफिशिएंटली वर्क करना चाहिए. ओके, तो नेचर ने इसको डिफरेंट सेल्स डिफरेंट फंक्शंस करने के लिए इसलिए दिए ताकि वो एफिशिएंटली काम करे. इसकी एग्जांपल हम ले सकते हैं. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल we have to build a building or we have to build a room, like for example. इस रूम को बिल्ड करने के लिए हमारे पास लेबर भी होता है, हमारे पास मेसन भी होता है. तो हमारे पास एक स्पेशलिस्ट होता है जो टाइल भी लगाता है, एक स्पेशलिस्ट होता है जो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का काम करता है, एक स्पेशलिस्ट होता है जो पेंटिंग का काम करता है. अगर हम ये सारी जॉब एक ही बंदे को देंगे, दैट a single person will not be justify the whole process of building the building. Okay, तो इसमें ये होता है कि इनको क्या करते हैं, इनको स्पेशलाइजेशन देती है. एक बंदे को एक चीज में स्पेशलाइज करते हैं, दूसरे बंदे को दूसरी चीज में स्पेशलाइजेशन देते हैं ताकि वो एफिशिएंटली एक बिल्डिंग को बना सके. इसी तरह हमारी बॉडी जो है, इट्स लाइक अ बिल्डिंग. तो इस बिल्डिंग को एफिशिएंटली चलाने के लिए नेचर ने डिफरेंट सेल्स को डिफरेंट टाइप्स, डिफरेंट मॉर्फोलॉजी दी है, उनका डिफरेंट स्ट्रक्चर दिया है ताकि वो पर्टिकुलर फंक्शन को परफॉर्म कर पाए, वो भी एफिशिएंटली. सो हियर कम्स एफिशिएंसी. सो वी अंडरस्टूड इट नाउ that multicellular organisms show efficiency. Okay, they are efficient. Number two, these multicellular cells have dual existence. What does this dual existence mean? Duha, do you know anything about dual existence? You can speak up, no problem. No? You don't know? Okay. So dual existence means they exist individually, the cells of multicellular organisms. They exist individually. That means they have their individual existence, and they work in collaboration as well. They work in collaboration as well. Like, we'll take an example of nerve cells. Okay, here we'll represent this nerve cell as like this. Okay, it is a nucleus. This is a rough diagram, don't take it otherwise. Okay, so one is the function of nerve cell. Nerve cell do one thing, they receive information and transmit it from one point to another. Okay, so this nerve cell transmits this information to this another nerve cell. This another nerve cell will transmit this information forward to another nerve cell. The same way, this information is carried from one place of body to another place of the body. So this nerve cell has an individual existence. That means they exist individually as well, but they work in collaboration as well. Okay, in the unicellular organism, there is no collaboration, there is no multiple cells, there's only one cell which has to perform all the functions. So this nerve cell has the only function to conduct the nerve impulse from one place to another. There is no involvement of pumping of blood, there is no involvement of respiration, there is no involvement of digestion by this cell, nothing at all. For digestion, there are specialized cells in the stomach which do excrete juices, which secrete acids and digest the food in the multicellular organism. There are specialized cells in the cardiac system, that means heart, which are cardiac cells. They perform contraction and relaxation, and in the turn this heart pumps the blood from different parts of the body and towards the different parts of the body. So these cells in the multicellular organism, they are very efficient. These organisms are in itself efficient, and they have dual existence. Okay, these are two important points. Then third point is they have greater capacity of survival. Means these multicellular organisms have greater capacity of survival. That what does this mean? इसका मतलब ये हुआ जैसे यूनिसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिज्म हमने अभी देखा. यूनिसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिज्म में सिर्फ एक ही सेल होती है, एक सेल है, उस एक सेल मर गई तो वो सारा ऑर्गेनिज्म मर जाता है. यहाँ पे अगर ये ट्रिलियंस ऑफ सेल्स का बना होता है ये ऑर्गेनिज्म, ठीक है, मल्टीसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिज्म ट्रिलियंस ऑफ सेल्स का बना होता है. अगर इसमें 1 मिलियन सेल मर भी गई तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बट दैट इन अ पर्टिकुलर ऑर्गन, लाइक हम बोलेंगे जैसे स्किन है इंसान का, ह्यूमन का स्किन ले लेते हैं, इट्स अ मल्टीसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिज्म. इस स्किन में एवरी डे मिलियंस ऑफ सेल्स डाई, ठीक है, एंड आर रिप्लेस्ड बाय न्यू सेल्स. और वो जो मिलियंस ऑफ सेल्स डाई हो जाते हैं वो शेड हो जाती है, जो हमें दिखते भी नहीं है. वंस वी स्लीप इन नाइट, दोज सेल्स गेट शेडेड. शेडेड का मतलब होता है छूट जाते हैं स्किन से और वो गिर जाते हैं एनवायरनमेंट में, और उन पुरानी सेल्स को रिप्लेस करता है नए सेल्स. बट बाय डाइंग ऑफ दोज मिलियंस ऑफ सेल्स, द इंडिविजुअल इटसेल्फ डज नॉट, और द ऑर्गेनिज्म इटसेल्फ डज नॉट डाई. ठीक है, तो उनकी ग्रेटर कैपेसिटी बन जाती है सर्वाइवल की. ठीक है, इनका लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल हम दूसरी एग्जांपल ले सकते हैं. यहां हमने स्किन सेल्स की ली, ठीक है. दूसरी एग्जांपल हम ले सकते हैं आरबीसीज इन ब्लड. ठीक है, एवरी डे एन नंबर ऑफ आरबीसीज, राइट, ब्लड कॉर्पसेल्स मैच्योर हो जाते हैं. जिस मैच्योर होने के बाद वो उनकी कैपेसिटी टू कैरी द ब्लड फ्रॉम कैरी द हीमोग्लोबिन, एक्चुअली इनका काम ये होता है हीमोग्लोबिन को कैरी करना, ट्रांसपोर्ट ऑफ हीमोग्लोबिन. एंड हीमोग्लोबिन यानी इनका काम ट्रांसपोर्ट ऑफ हीमोग्लोबिन नहीं है, दे कैरी पार्टिकल कॉल्ड हीमोग्लोबिन, एंड दिस हीमोग्लोबिन का काम होता है कैरी करना ऑक्सीजन फ्रॉम वन पार्ट ऑफ बॉडी टू अनदर पार्ट ऑफ द बॉडी. सो जब इन ये कैपेसिटी टू कैरी द ऑक्सीजन छूट जाती है, ये मर जाते हैं, दे डाई. बट एट द सेम टाइम न्यू आरबीसीज आर फॉर्म्ड. ठीक है, ये कहां से बनते हैं? बोन मैरो में. कहां से बनते हैं? बोन मैरो. You know what is bone marrow? Bone marrow is the material inside our bones, okay, which forms these RBCs. Okay, so नए RBCs का बनना every day in millions and millions is from the bone marrow. And अब ये old die RBCs हो जाते हैं, कहाँ चले जाते हैं? They gets flushed out of body by लिवर. ठीक है, ये लिवर से फ्लश आउट हो जाते हैं बॉडी से, सो इन द फॉर्म ऑफ वेस्ट. तो बल्कि यहाँ पे आरबीसीज के इतने सेल्स का दिन भर में मरना, इस तरह स्किन सेल्स के दिन भर में मरना, इससे ऑर्गेनिज्म की सर्वाइवल पे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. ऑर्गेनिज्म सर्वाइव्स, सो दे हैव ग्रेटर कैपेसिटी टू सर्वाइव देन यूनिसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिजम्स. तो मल्टीसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिजम्स ज्यादा सर्वाइव करते हैं ज्यादा टाइम के लिए देन यूनिसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिजम्स. Okay. This was all about unicellular and multicellular organisms. I hope you have understood this clearly. After this, tomorrow we'll be having a lesson on flow of energy, flow of information. Okay, then we will be having understanding about prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. What is the difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic organisms and their cells? Okay, and then we'll be having a whole structure of understanding about the whole structure of the cell, structure of prokaryotic cells, structure of eukaryotic cell. Okay, take care.